Pregnant wife confessed to cheating, but refuses prenatal paternity test. 2 months along. I was still buying baby books when she sat me down and told me she'd slept with someone from her office. Unprotected. Right around the time she got pregnant. I didn't yell, I just went quiet. The kind of quiet that scares people more than screaming ever could. I remember staring at the coffee table thinking, I painted that table. We drove 2 hours to a flea market to find that exact shade of white. I don't know why my brain went there. It just did. Sometimes your mind grabs onto something small because it can't hold the big thing yet. She kept talking, explaining. A work trip, too much wine, a moment of weakness. I heard every word, but none of them were landing properly. All I kept thinking was, there is a child growing inside her right now, and I have absolutely no idea if it's mine. That was 10 days ago. I haven't slept more than 3 hours in a row since. I did what any rational person would do. I researched. Turns out prenatal paternity testing is a real thing. Non-invasive, just a blood draw on her end, results back within a few days. No risk to the baby whatsoever. I printed the information, highlighted the part about zero medical risk, and sat down with her the next morning. She said no. She said the stress of the test itself would release cortisol into her system, and that elevated stress hormones weren't good for the developing baby. I just looked at her for a long moment. I said, and my voice was completely level when I said this, you understand that I haven't been able to finish a full meal since you told me. You understand I'm lying awake every single night doing math in my head, counting back weeks on a calendar, trying to figure out whose face this child is going to have. You understand that my stress, apparently, doesn't factor into this equation at all. She said she was almost certain it was mine. Almost. I have been turning that word over in my head every single day since she said it. Not probably. Not 99% sure. Not I'm certain and I'm so sorry. Almost. That's the word she landed on. And she's asking me to live inside that word for 7 more months. To buy a crib and pick out a name while it just sits in the corner of every room like something neither of us is allowed to say out loud. I laid it out for her as clearly as I could. No test means I will not sign the birth certificate at the hospital. I will not be present in the delivery room. The moment that baby is born, I will request an immediate paternity test before anything else gets signed. I told her I was not going to spend the better part of a year drowning in a maybe when a simple blood draw could give us both an answer before the week was out. She called her mom that same night. Her mom called me cold. Said I was punishing an innocent unborn child for the mother's mistake. Said I needed to think seriously about what kind of man I was choosing to be in this moment. I let her finish her whole speech. Then I said, your daughter used the word almost. Go ask her exactly what she meant by that. Then I hung up. Her sister sent a long text about compassion and how hard pregnancy already was without added pressure. Her best friend from college left a voice memo 3 minutes long explaining why I was being unreasonable. My own brother called and said I was overreacting, that marriages survive infidelity all the time, that I needed to look at the bigger picture. I sat in my car in the driveway for almost an hour that night, just sitting there with the engine off, our house lit up in every window, her shadow moving past the kitchen. I kept thinking about the nursery we'd started talking about, the name we'd half agreed on during a long drive home last fall, the way she grabbed my hand tight at the first ultrasound and whispered, can you believe it? I called a lawyer the next morning. Turns out in our state, once your name goes on a birth certificate, legally contesting paternity is a real process. Not impossible, but it's slow, it's expensive, and it is emotionally brutal by every account I've read. The lawyer told me the cleanest path is always to resolve the question before birth if you can. He also confirmed that prenatal tests are fully court admissible. He told me a lot of things that morning I never imagined I'd need to know. I went home and asked her one final time. No argument, no raised voice. I sat across from her at that white coffee table and I said, I need to know. Not because I've already decided to leave, not because I want to punish you, because I physically cannot function the way things are right now. I need a yes or I need a no. She said she'd think about it. That was yesterday morning. Last night, I took my lawyer's business card out of my wallet and left it on the kitchen counter where she would definitely see it. This morning it was gone, and she came downstairs and quietly told me she'd made the appointment.